Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Everybody's favorite segment of the week is the power rankings. It's a little bit different this week because I am leaving for vacation for the next week. So we are going to be missing out on the daily recaps this coming week, but I did plan a couple other videos that will be released throughout the week. So look forward to those. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and you'll be seeing those when they debut Monday, Wednesday, and on the weekend next week. The other reason why this one is different is normally I wait until all the Sunday games are done before going into this, but this week is a little different because I got to leave before the games are over, so I'll be on the road. So bear with me. We don't have all the Sunday games in like we normally do, but one game is not going to make too much of a difference, and I'll talk about that as we go along. Otherwise, let's jump into it. Smash that like button if you enjoy these power ranking videos. We do them every week. Still in number 30, we got the Texas Rangers 1-2 against Seattle. They're splitting the series right now with Oakland. Probably gonna lose, you would think at this rate, but I need to see another decent week like this where they pick up a couple wins if they are going to move up on the spot. But they're closing ground on the new number 29. Baltimore Orioles 0-3 against Detroit. They're getting smashed again by Boston right now, so likely to go 0-3 against Boston. And that's going to make them have a 10-game losing streak. So that's 3 losing streaks this season over 9 games. Orioles fans, I'm sorry, not a whole lot going for you guys right now. Number 28, we have the Pittsburgh Pirates 0-3 against the Cardinals early in the week, and they split the doubleheader with Milwaukee yesterday. They're playing the rubber match now. You would suspect that Milwaukee has the upper hand. 28, I think it's pretty fair for the Pirates. Not a whole lot going for them this year. Number 27, we got the Arizona Diamondbacks. They started the week 0-2 against San Fran, but they did play them very tough. And then they walked into San Diego, and they're playing complete spoiler so far, going 3-0 against the Padres in a 4th game going today. Diamondbacks, they have a good rotation and some future ahead of them. If it wasn't for such a bad start in this season, we probably would be talking about them being a little bit better. But 27, I think, is pretty fair for the Diamondbacks. Number 26, got Kansas City Royals 1-2 against the Yankees. The Yankees pretty much demolished them for the most part. They stole one away, and now they've lost back-to-back against the Cardinals. Of course, rubber match, or on 3rd match going today. But the Royals don't have a whole lot going for them right now this season. They do have Whit Merrifield, pretty much the biggest highlight of their season. Congratulations to him for making consecutive starts of, 424 or something like that. Talked about it in the recap video this morning. Number 25, falling to the bottom row for the first time probably ever since these power rankings came out, Chicago Cubs. And what can you say? They sold at the deadline. Their team is pretty much a AAA team at this point. Milwaukee Brewers swept them 4 games early in the week. And it wasn't just a sweep, it was a demolishing. And the Marlins have had their number pretty much over the weekend. They're playing the 3rd match right now, so they could steal one away and get a win this week, but we're not holding our breath for the Cubs right now at this rate. Number 24, we got the Washington Nationals 0-3 against the Mets and getting beat up by the Braves right now too. 0-2. They're tied right now while I'm filming this video in the 3rd match, but they were down, and they're probably going to lose again to the Braves, who have taken over the lead. Free falling for them as well. Kind of same situation as the Cubs, selling a lot at the trade deadline. Not a lot going for them right now. Next up, we got the Miami Marlins 1-2 against the Padres, and now they're beating up on the Cubs. They're a team that does pretty well against these bottom rows, and they can pretty much bring it on any day. And on a other given day, playing the top teams, their pitching really keeps them along. Their offense is what's been holding them back for the most part this season. They're not in the playoff hunt, of course, so 23 I think is pretty good. Number 22, moving up a little bit, we got the Minnesota Twins. They had a tough week where they beat the White Sox 2-1, and now they're playing Tampa Bay this weekend, and yesterday they really laid the beat down on Tampa Bay. I think if we saw this side of the Twins earlier in the season, they wouldn't necessarily be in this big of a mess as they're in, but we all know they're out of the playoff race. But on paper, and the way they do perform given day in and day out, they're definitely a better team than these bottom row kind of teams. Number 21, got the Colorado Rockies 0-2 against Houston, 1-2 against San Fran, and of course they're playing another game today against San Fran. The Rockies pretty much playing spoiler the rest of the year. They've solid record at home. Not a whole lot going for them, but I think match them up against any of these teams below them, I would tend to pick them to come out with the victory. Number 20, Detroit Tigers. They've went 3-0 against Baltimore, and it looks like they're going to go 1-2 against Cleveland. Cleveland's really laying the smackdown on them right now. They're pretty much tied with Cleveland going into this game today. Both 3 games below 500. I think if we talked about Detroit being a 500 team at the beginning of the season, Detroit fans would be pretty happy. So they got to be pretty happy with how the team's going so far this year. On the other side of it, we got the Cleveland Indians, number 19. They got swept by Oakland early in the week, but they did come back and beat the Tigers, just like I talked about. I think on the opposite side of it, if Indians fans had known they were going to be below 500, they'd be pretty disappointed. It's not been a great season for the Indians, and they've been slowly falling down the power rankings over the last number of weeks. Number 18, we got the Los Angeles Angels. Went 2-2 against Toronto early in the week, and then they've been getting beat up by Houston. They're just not quite in that spectacle to be competing for a playoff spot, let alone the division. They are playing spoiler. They are messing with the Blue Jays plans to advance. They're better than the teams below them, I would suspect. And of course, Ohtani making a bid at MVP. Got to be pretty pumped about that. Number 17. They didn't really move up, but they went 3-0 against Pittsburgh and 2-0 so far against Kansas City. They can't really move up because they still have a lot of ground to make up to get back in the playoff race. The playoff race really starts happening after here, so they're on the borderline. Of course, they're not out of it yet, but they need to keep this momentum going, and they're doing the right things by beating the bad teams. So the Cardinals, 17, look for them to make either a big move up or pretty much stay here for the rest of the season. Number 16, pretty much free falling out of the playoff race, slowly but surely. We got the New York Mets. They did sweep Washington early in the week, so they had that going for them, but now they're facing the Dodgers over the weekend, and they've lost both in pretty deciding fact, in a way that you don't want to lose. Close games, heartbreaking defeats. If they can steal one away today, it's the late night game, then they'll at least have that going for them, but lucky for them, the division is super close, so they're not quite out of it yet. Number 16, I think, is pretty justified for them. Number 15, Toronto Blue Jays, 2-2 against the Angels, and so far they've lost both games to Seattle. The Blue Jays, they keep getting close to being right in the conversation, and then they just crap the bed, and this is just one of those weeks where they're going on the road trip after an amazing homestand, and they just couldn't put it all together, and they're looking to come after these two to a little bit below 500 over this road trip so far. So 15, they're losing Springer. That's going to be painful, but 15 I think is good. Number 14, we got the Philadelphia Phillies. They went 1-2 against the Dodgers, and then they were playing the Reds, 1-1 so far. It looks like the Reds are possibly going to take the third game. They're playing right now, of course. They lost their hold on the division. They went on that monster run and taken the lead in the division after passing the Mets. But then they let the Braves stick around, and the Braves have passed them, so a lot of concern there. Wheeler lost his last start. They need him. They need their rotation to really step up and their bats to step up. It's going to come down to the stretch for these guys. Number 13, Seattle Mariners, 2-1 against Texas, 2-0 so far against the Jays, and of course playing one more game against the Jays tonight. But the Mariners, they are not going away, and they seem to have this aura around their team. They're ready. They're ready to compete the rest of the way. So do not expect them to drop out of this playoff race. I know I don't at this point. Number 12, we got the Cincinnati Reds. They lost an important series to Atlanta, 1-2. Hopefully they're trying to take the rest of this one against Philadelphia. So far 1-1. But the Reds are in the playoff hunt. San Diego has been struggling super hard. So the Reds, they're now 2.5 games out. So a couple of weeks and they could very well be in a playoff spot. So the Reds fans got to be excited. Their pitching's got to be a lot of a concern. Definitely the relief pitching. They've lost a lot of games down the stretch that way. But if they can squeeze into that last spot, anything can happen in the wild card. Number 11, got the Atlanta Braves, 2-1 against Cincy, 2-0 against Washington. They've taken the division lead, and wow, this has probably been the best spot we've seen the Braves in all season. And they don't even have Acuna. And their offense is popping off, and their pitching is getting it done now. So look for them to probably hold on to this position. in the division, unless the Phillies can really go on a run here. But Braves looking good. Number 10, slowly falling down the list. They did beat, Miami early in the week 2-1, but then this weekend they did not have a good time against Arizona. Their pitching is definitely starting to show as a big concern going forward. Padres, they got to be worried about the Reds catching on their tails, and these teams, they're a little bit out of the wild card, but if two of them get hot enough, they could definitely make a run at it, so be ready for that. Number 9, the New York Yankees, one of the hottest teams over the past month. 2-1 against Royals, 1-1 against the White Sox so far. Of course, playing the third game today. They're on any given day they're competing, and they're playing good baseball against the top teams. Of course, one concern is the back end at their bullpen. Chapman on the IL, Britton struggling. There are some concerns there, but right now they're right in the thick of the playoff hunt. But American League playoff race is intense, that's for sure. Number 8, we got Boston, 1-2 against Tampa, so they couldn't make up ground on the division lead, and they fell off a little bit, but they are smashing the Orioles at the very least this weekend, picking up some wins, much needed wins to get some separation in the wild card race at the very least. Number 8, I think, is pretty good for them. Number 7, we got Oakland A's, 3-0 against Cleveland, 1-1 against Texas. Their rotation's been amazing, and honestly, the A's are on the verge of getting into this top row if they keep playing this kind of baseball. That's very good. I had to admit, when I did my prediction for wildcards, I thought they would be the team to fall out, but now I'm pretty sure they're going to secure up that wildcard spot at the very least. Number 6, same spot as last week, 1-2 against Minnesota, 1-1 against the Yankees so far. They got such a lead on the division. I can't blame them if the foot gets taken off the gas, but their offense is starting to get healthy. Their rotation's doing its thing. I think number 6 is pretty solid. We expect them to be first round playoffs, of course, in there. Number 5, Tampa Bay Rays, 2-1 against Boston, 1-1 so far against Minnesota, playing the third game rubber match today. Concerns with the Rays are their rotation depth. Waka showing that he can't really hold down that 4th and 5th spot, so outside of their top 3, it's a little bit of concern on them, but they at least have a big enough lead on the division. Their bullpen's good, their offense has been good. Rays at number 5, pretty solidified. Number 4, Milwaukee went 4-0 against the Cubs, 1-1 against Pittsburgh so far, and like I said earlier, I suspect them to win the other game. But the Brewers are on the hunt, so they're going to look for a top 3 spot in the next coming weeks. Number 3, we got Houston Astros, 2-0 against Colorado, 2-0 so far against the Angels. Last week wasn't their greatest week, and I'd said that if they kept that up, they'd probably fall, but they won all their games since then. So pretty much got to leave them in 3rd, and I think top team in the American League right now. Number 2, we got the Dodgers, 2-1 against Philly, 2-0 so far over the weekend against the Mets. Not much to say. They've stacked up over the trade deadline. They're winning their games. A lot of concern if you're a Giants fan, but right now you still got number 1 spot for the San Francisco Giants, 2-0 against Arizona, 2-1 so far against Colorado. And you suspect them to hold off the Dodgers for now. But for me, one of these 2 teams is going to finish number 1. The other one's going to be the wild card. And then anything can happen there. So let me know what you guys think of these power rankings. Unfortunately, we are probably going to miss next week's power rankings. So it'll be the first time we miss all season. But again, I am away and won't be having the board, all that stuff. So we might have a 2-week gap. So let me know what you guys suspect will change in the playoff races in the next 2 weeks. And go down there, like, subscribe, comment. We'll see you guys for that next video. Thanks for watching.